Good evening and welcome classmates, family, and faculty to our Vespers ceremony. This ceremony marks the traditional opening of Senior Week, even if this has been a very non-traditional year. It is our first time together in caps and gowns and a chance to reflect on our past before I move forward to our graduation. Although generations ago Vespers was a religious ceremony, it is now a reflective ceremony for us, created by us. Tonight, members of the senior class will guide us in our reflection on our time together as the class of 2021. Their speeches will revolve around the theme of the ocean, a fitting theme for Newburyport. Thank you.
The ocean is vast, much of which is not explored. In fact, 80% of the ocean still remains a mystery. Think of all the life that could be out there. Think of all the adventure and experiences that could be had if we chose to explore the 80%. Our time here in Newburyport is like ocean exploration. We have seen so little compared to what we'll see in our futures. As we all go our separate ways, we have the opportunity to look back on our experiences, like Camp Kiev, the DC trip, Field Day, the 7th grade field trips, Mr. Bobalon and Mrs. Cruzmark gym classes, Jimmy Gore's secret sauce stash, or Kennedy's secret snack store in his locker, and much more. These are all experiences that give us fond childhood memories. As we go our separate ways to the next stages of our life, we will always have a common connection to our hometown. Though we may go far and wide exploring the 80%, we will always have a couple things in common. We grew up together, and we explored the 20% together. Doing that with you all was truly some of the best times of my life. It can be scary moving on and exploring new things, but that's what life is all about, being scared and moving forward. How do you think the people who explored the ocean felt before doing so? They didn't know it was out there, yet they dove in and went for it. James Cameron, the director of the Titanic, is not only a successful filmmaker, but also a very experienced ocean explorer. He developed underwater camera and was the first person to complete a solo dive in the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. James Cameron is a person that decided to leave his comfort zone and explore, and thanks to him, we now know where the Titanic is and what it looked like. So be like him and explore new things outside of your comfort zone. It will only make you a better, wiser person. When we go to the beach, a beach we know like Plum Island, we know what to expect: the point, the blue, the mouth of the Merrimack, the cottage, the water, and the sand. When we were in Newburyport High School, we knew what to expect: the people, the teachers, the lunches, and where the classrooms were. We know all these things because we are used to it and we explored it together. So as we go on from here, we will now have new experiences and new chances to be the person you want to be. Thank you, class of 2021, to be such a great class to grow up with and experience the 20% with. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the great things you'll accomplish in life. Remember to step outside your comfort zone and explore the 80%, no matter how scary it may be. Thank you.
Good evening, class of 2021. Our time together as a class is coming to an end, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to address you all one last time. This year, our Vesper speeches are centered around the ocean, and I thought that was very fitting considering how in one way or another, the ocean has had a profound impact on every single one of us. The ocean is an incredible ecosystem filled with many different species of plants and animals, as well as a great place to spend time in the summer. But the ocean can also be a mysterious unknown. Like Christian explained, more than 80% of the ocean has not yet been explored, and we have no idea what lies at those depths. Although it may be frightening to think about, we shouldn't allow that fear of the unknown to prevent us from enjoying the ocean and exploring more of it ourselves. Regardless of the slight fear I have for the ocean and its unruly waves, I still love to surf. In writing this speech, I realized I could equate a lot of the ocean's patterns and surfing experiences to what we've been through in the last year. I know the last thing you all want to hear is another cliche about COVID and our crazy year, but here's one last one. My surfing experience began in 2013 at the summer session surf camp. Hopefully that unlocked a memory for many of you. Now, I'm the first one to admit I'm absolutely no pro surfer. I have a 9-foot soft top that I got at Costco. A perfect summer day consists of driving to Venice Beach with Leah, circling around the tiny parking lot for 30 minutes until we find a spot, pulling on our wetsuits and coasting in on some nice, non-threatening 2-foot waves. Some of you are definitely not impressed by that, but I'm just glad I can make it up right on the board. I know there are some real surfers in here, like Tucker, Peter, Matt Reeves, just to name a few, but I know there are many more. You could all surf circles around me, and props to you for that. But my main point is not that some people are better at surfing than others. It's that we all thrive in different conditions of the ocean. I prefer to surf the small waves, but sometimes the ocean can be completely flat. While I'd be upset that there's nothing to surf, non-surfers may be happy there are no waves because they can enjoy the water without fear of being toppled. Other days, the waves are giant and rough, too much for me to handle, but it may be the perfect day for some of the more experienced surfers in the room. Everyone needs different types of waves to feel comfortable, confident, and happy. It was the same way regarding the learning plan for our senior year. This school year, we went through many changes to meet COVID guidelines. Some people thrived in the remote learning model, while I came back into school 4 days a week as quickly as I could. Although I missed a lot of you in class this year, I'm happy we were able to make the decision for yourself to stay remote for whatever reason. But I'm also grateful for the people that came back after April break and made the building so much more vibrant. That is what made this year and all of its challenges so unique. It allowed us to choose the plan we were comfortable with, the same way we do with surfing in the ocean. I'm thrilled the year is now ending on a much more positive note than where we started, but at the beginning, being forced into quarantine felt like taking a nosedive off my board, doing a header right into the water, and getting smacked on the top of the head when the board came back around. COVID blindsided us all and sent us into isolation with no friends and no social contact, which is a dramatic shift after being in school and seeing each other every day for the last 12 years. It was definitely extremely tough for me, and no doubt many of you as well. I felt as though the waves kept knocking us off our boards, and every time we came up for air, another one would push us right back down as the school announced, no school, no sports, no junior prom, no Galapagos trip, and the list goes on and on. Many of us felt battered and bruised, and although we tried to get to shore, the waves kept on pummeling. Luckily, COVID began to settle down for the summer, and the water once again calmed. In the fall, some of us were remote, some of us were hybrid, but when our senior year began, we knew we were together. Although there were some rogue waves that knocked us down, like missing color day and homecoming, many parts of our life seemed to fall back into their normal place. We finally recovered from the tribulations of quarantine, got back on our boards, and tried to surf again. Being able to return to playing sports felt to me like getting the perfect wave and riding it all the way to shore. Although it was a little thing, it felt more like normalcy. And truly, what a ride it has been. We have gone from school at half capacity to now almost completely full. No spectators at sporting events to no longer even wearing masks while playing. It was a really tough year, but I'm so grateful that we made it through, and now, knock on wood, we'll stay on the other side of this virus. I know I'm biased, but the class of 2021 is the strongest class I've ever seen, because despite the extremely tough odds we faced this year, we dove headfirst into the waves with a smile on our faces and never stopped surfing, no matter how rough it got. This last month to me has felt like an amazing swell of waves, and I'm just on top of the world grateful that we get to have senior week and some of our traditions back. Throughout this experience, I also learned that having a flat patch in the ocean doesn't mean a surfer can't enjoy the ocean. It gives us a chance to do other things in the water we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. This was similar to my experiences in quarantine, where I picked up the guitar again because I had time to, as well as learned to longboard. I took something that could have been a negative experience and used it to my advantage to try something new. I hope many of you are able to take this strange experience and find the positive amidst the chaos. I know all of you, regardless of your plans next year, have extremely bright futures ahead of you. Now go out there and catch some awesome waves. And remember, after every flat patch, there's a gnarly swell. Thank you so much for listening, and cannot wait for a great senior week with you all.
So, the ocean's ecosystem is made up of millions of different species, from marine microorganisms to grand orca whales, all having their own unique relationships with each other. These relationships strengthen the ecosystem as a whole, especially against the unpredictable weather swells that change day by day and greatly impact these species' lives and habitats. No matter the damage caused by surrounding factors, a strong ecosystem can work together to mend any destruction caused by disaster. Each individual organism plays a major role in making the ecosystem thrive. The ocean's most common symbiotic relationship is mutualism, where two species work together to benefit one another. For instance, a stingray carries thousands of different species on its back throughout its travels, like in Finding Nemo. And as the organisms sit on their back, they observe and learn about the world around them. Soon enough, the time comes where the fish have to leave the stingray's back and move on to other things. The staff and parents at NHS have been our stingrays these past 4 years, and it is time for us to continue our journey on our own and use what they have taught us. In a world surrounded by competition, greed, and feud, the ocean still manages to keep a mutually beneficial dynamic, making it one of the strongest ecosystems in the world. NHS resembles the ocean in this way. From our athletes who might be the next Serena Williams, or coaching youth soccer, our geniuses who will be future leaders in our country or in our neighborhoods, our musical experts who will one day be in the most profound operas in the world, or making people smile with a guitar around a campfire. No matter what role you play, each and every one of you makes this amazing, beautiful, unique ecosystem function. We have been the fearless sharks of the Cape Ann League, the beautiful and colorful coral reefs of the arts programs, and clever dolphins of our academics. There have been rough waters in our ecosystem this year, with many challenges in creating schedules, sport outings, and school-wide events. However, the teachers and students have come together as a community to excel in both education and social development, even through fully online, hybrid, and full in-person learning styles. It has not been an easy transition. There have been many factors against us, from weather on our originally scheduled and rescheduled movie nights to our literal global pandemic. But here we are. We faced all the challenges of senior year and more with the help of each other. We could have blamed each other for every bad experience, as the rest of the world was doing at the time. But instead, we stuck together and created a community that built off of each other's positivity. This is what makes this community so hard to say goodbye to. This is what makes this class so hard to say goodbye to. However, even if fish get separated from their school, they're still in the ocean. No matter where we are, from Scotland to California, we are all always a part of the NHS ecosystem. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Okay. Newburyport seniors, what a long but extremely short journey it has been. Most of us have been together since elementary school, all forged from the same Bresnahan bees and eventually graduating to be a Mullen polar bear and finally gearing up for our mascot, the Clippers. 8th grade graduation seems so long ago, doesn't it? The nerves that filled the air, the excitement that coursed through our veins, and those hard chairs that we barely noticed because it all signified one thing. We had made it. So here we are again in slightly more comfortable chairs, beginning our final week together as a whole. We are the Newburyport senior class of 2021, and although our high school experiences may have been different, rough around the edges, smooth in the middle, or maybe the complete opposite, we were all in it together, like sand particles on a beach, individual, yet together. Whenever there was a difficult test or project that we had to endure, there was always those reassuring words that, at least you're in it together. Or in some cases, at least you're going to fail together. The countless times Martina Ward and I would reassure one another prior to a pre-calc assessment or with Kate Herndon before our AP Gov tests. Those consolation words and reassurances bonded us. I know that personally, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish half of the things that were thrown at me if it weren't for those reassurances from my classmates. And it isn't just the tests and quizzes where we've had to rely on our fellow sand pebbles. Whether it was trying to corral student council with Nora McElhenney and constantly relying on one another to reassure the other that we are in fact not muted over Zoom or that we actually know what the agenda is going into the meetings. Or was getting through our freshman nutrition class with Maya Haverda, Tommy Pennington, and Peter King, where we had a massive bake-off competition, of course inspired by the Great British Bake Off, in which we had to rely on our partners to get us through the challenge of creating something from apples, chocolates, and pretzels. Even just practicing this speech in front of my fellow Vespers speakers, we all relied on the assurance from one another that our speeches were hopefully going to try and encapsulate our time at Newburyport High School. While we might have faced daunting tests and an overflow of projects, they all seemed achievable in the end. And there was always a notion that it would end. There was a freshman algebra class where people like John Donovan made it way more bearable, or a sophomore lit class with Ellie Schulson, in which we could not hide behind the dunes of safety when we were asked to take a stance on issues and discuss our values. Those dunes had protected us from the vast sea of the unknown and had shielded us from uncertainties. But now we are facing the sea, those dunes far behind us. And no matter how daunting it may be to stare into the ocean of our future, we are ready. Our time in this building is coming to an end, and the tides of this educational experience are fading in and out like the waves that lap the sand of Plum Island, as we witnessed on our 7th grade science field trip to Sandy Point, when we discovered how the tides change and how sea creatures depend on those tide pools, much like we all depend on our own tide pools, our friends, our classmates, to support us. If you look at sand in a microscope, you'll see lots of tiny rocks. This may be common knowledge, but I think it embodies our class and time at NHS. I tend to think of our class as a rock, sturdy and true. Each individual particle that makes up the rock is unique in its own way, but our class wouldn't be the same without it. The colossal waves that have rocked us through these past 4 years are losing its energy, just as we had learned about in physics class. Even in a pandemic, our teachers' determination to give us the tools and resources we needed to get to this point were beyond admirable. And as our science teachers taught us, energy never really goes away and is instead absorbed by other forces. This energy will take us through those daunting waters. It will be with us when we reach our crest and when we reach our depths. It will be our constant, much like our continual knowledge that each of us, as individuals, as sand molecules, are native to the same rock. And yes, our rock has lost a few along the way as people broke off to carry on their own journeys in the sea that is the future. And soon we all too will break away and become our own sand particles in a vast ocean of experiences and society. We will tumble through the tides and weather strange and familiar animals. We will follow those tides and our hearts to where we are meant to be and become exactly who we need to be. Our journey as true individuals will take us all over the world and back again, through countless oceans, rivers, and lakes. Every experience becoming significantly different from the rest. And although these challenges may beat against our bodies and the triumphs of life will make us feel like we are sand particles floating in a never-ending sea, we will always have our own shores and beaches to return to. And while we may wash upon other shores at different times in our lives, and as we continue to go onward and forward, we will always have our beach to look back to reassure us. Sand particles may drift in and out of lone phases, and as we experience this new beginning on our own, we'll always have that center, our common rock, that draw to which we, the class of 2021, will always have with us, Newburyport High School. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Before I begin, some of you may fear that this is our last week together and that this is a goodbye. Some of you fear our paths will never cross again. You are probably right. For most of us, this is not a see you later or an until next time. This is a goodbye. Some of our paths will never cross again, and that's just the truth. Now allow me to begin. As fellow soon-to-be graduates, I hope you can all agree with me and say you will forever proud to be a Clipper. In their heyday, Clipper ships were the fastest ships to ever be built. So as I stand in front of you today, I ask you, what's better than comparing our high school journey to a simple boat ride? When taking a trip into the ocean, there are many things you cannot control. You cannot control the weather, you cannot control the tides or the waves crashing against the ship, you cannot control the wildlife or fish around you. The only thing you can control is the ship. You can control who is captaining your ship because every pirate knows their ship is only as great as its captain. You can control who is on the ship with you because these are the shipmates you will share a journey of a lifetime with. Although the voyage may eventually come to an end, the memories that you create with your crewmates will last forever. You can also control where you are steering the ship. Some of us will pack light and steer our ships nearby, staying close to home. Some of us will pack for a much longer trip, whether it's California or Florida, New York or Italy, Montana or Colorado. We're all starting fresh. Even though now we are boarding our own individual ships, choosing who is coming with us and where we are going, it doesn't change the fact that we started our journeys on the same ship at Newburyport High School, and every single year we spent together was different from the last. Freshman year, we all nervously hopped aboard the Clipper ship. We were taught the rules, written and unwritten, of Newburyport High School. We quickly learned that there was no pool on the 4th floor, and just like the famous clipper ship, high school moves really, really fast. Sophomore year, we hopped off the clipper ship and climbed aboard the speedboat. No longer tied down and burdened with the freshman name, we were able to show the rest of the school who we were. We were a fearless class ripping through the water. There was no college stress, no junior year heartaches, just a mighty class proving they were there to swim with the big fish. But this magnificent speedboat finally came to an end, because junior year, we hopped off the speedboat and proudly walked aboard the Titanic. We proved that we were the greatest class to ever walk through these halls. We marched into Color Day and delivered the performance of a lifetime, regardless of who won. We embodied what it meant to be a Newburyport Clipper, showing victory even in defeat. Even after that, we walked through the halls with pride and joy. But just like the Titanic, all glorious things must eventually fall. As the Titanic struck an iceberg, fear began lurking through the halls of COVID-19, and rumor had spread that Amesbury had just evacuated their school, and we were soon to follow. But we were on the Titanic. Surely we planned for emergency. We all hopped on our lifeboats and paddled ourselves home, where our teachers and families made sure we all stayed afloat. This is where we finished our junior year, from a computer screen. We stayed quarantined on those lifeboats until just a few weeks ago, when we marched onto the party boat, the captain's lady. Back in the school, we were finally seniors, making every single day count with a limited amount of time. We once again showed why we were the most united class anyone's ever seen. Even after so much time apart, we were able to come together and finish our trip together, as one. Finally back together on the same ship, although we would all get off the captain's lady and say goodbye eventually, I wouldn't have traded a single day of it, because we did it together. Whether we're on the same boat next year or a different one, you will forever not only be my shipmates, but my friends. Thank you all for an incredible and unforgettable 4 years, and I wish you all the best in whichever you choose to pursue after high school. So thank you to not only my shipmates, but my friends.
Teachers, classmates, and other NHS faculty, I want to start by thanking you all for attending and accommodating this year's Vespers ceremony. As we reach our closing, it is my pleasure to extend the biggest thank you to all of our dedicated speakers. Over the past year, we have been presented with an obstacle like no other. Like each of you, the member of the classes of 2021, this year we have been called to do and be something bigger than ourselves. But as always, we have persevered. My fellow class officers, Ms. Kokonis, Ms. Scannell, and the entire school administration, this year you have been our lighthouse. You have been the lighthouse guiding us through one of the nastiest storms this school has ever seen. Without you, we would have crashed and been lost at sea, and for that, we are forever grateful. While our time at NHS is slowly coming to an end, I must remind you all that the ocean works in mysterious ways. While the current will shift us in different directions, all ships have a home port. This city will forever be a place we can venture to if we need help or someone to talk to. Class of 2021, thank you for being present today at our Vespers ceremony. I can't wait to see where the future takes you, and thank you all again.